Hi, my name's Kate and I'm one of the worship pastors here at Grace. Karen has asked me if I would share with you some of my parenting journey. I'm married to Ryan and we have two children, Jaden, who is 8, and Taylor, who has just turned 5. I thought today maybe we could chat about the uncomfortable topic of those moments that I call parental fails, the moments where we say or do the wrong thing and realise that maybe we've inadvertently wounded our child. Hopefully not physically, but certainly emotionally. The great news is we all have those stories, probably more than one. And the excellent news is that if you haven't already had one of those fails, it's coming your way. So hang on, they're awesome. I thought today that I would share with you one of my most epic parenting fails and what I learned from it. My husband Ryan 2 years ago got a promotion which required him to travel far more during the week than he had ever had to previously do. So fortunately I was working part-time and I was able to be very hands-on with both the kids so that they didn't feel him being away quite as much as they possibly would have. The time came for him to do his first international trip, which was to the States for 15 days. So we started chatting about it, knowing full well that it was the longest that he had ever been away from either of the kids. So we thought we'd done all we needed to do to prep them. He went, he phoned, he FaceTimed to chat to them. Jaden, who was 6 at the time, quite happily prattled on about all the stuff at school and the friends. But Taylor, who was 3, was really not interested in talking to him. In fact, she flatly refused to go anywhere near the phone when she knew it was him. I thought it was strange, but thought possibly it was just her way of expressing that she was missing him and not being able to cope with the feelings of missing him. But 2 nights before he was supposed to come home, I was putting them to bed and said, "Yay, Daddy comes home in 2 sleeps." And she looked at me quite confused and said, "What do you mean?" So thinking she hadn't heard me, I just said it again. "Yay, Daddy comes home in 2 more sleeps." And of course, Jaden's jumping on the bed, "Yay!" And her whole face just changed. And she looked at me and said, "You mean he's coming back?" And in that split second, I realised that somewhere along the line, when we were talking about what was going to happen, we hadn't done it in a way that a 3-year-old would understand. And I realised that the reason she hadn't gone near the phone for the better part of 2 weeks was because somewhere in her 3-year-old brain, she thought that her daddy had left and wasn't coming back. In that moment, I can't even tell you how guilty I felt. In an instant, I just wanted to spontaneously throw up. I felt so bad. Yet I was relieved that we had discovered what the reason was and that she now knew that he was coming back. In the days that followed, she carried on quite happily, knowing that Daddy was coming home, and I was feeling really, really bad. Every time I looked at her, I wanted to cry. I was just trapped in this place of feeling so guilty that I had been responsible for causing my 3-year-old girl some sort of trauma that Daddy had gone. So what did I learn? Well, I learned that in those moments of parental fails, we can either sit in this place of being consumed by the guilt, that it actually immobilizes us from being able to make correct decisions for our children. It means that we allow our parenting style to be ruled by mistakes that we've made before, and we get held in this place of not making the right decisions because what if and maybes and what if my child feels like, and that's actually not being a parent. So what I felt was that God took me on a journey of letting that stuff go and turning the parental fails into a win. Well, how do you do that? How does your most epic fail become something that can set you up to win? Well, it's actually pretty easy. You need to learn from it. You learn from it, you change whatever needs to be changed, and you carry on. I realised that out of my epic failure, in our attempt to communicate with the kids about what was happening, Jaden understood, but Taylor didn't. And maybe I didn't think that a 3-year-old needed to know all the intricate details because a 3-year-old may not really have a concept of what 15 days was. But what I could have done was put a chart on her wall with 15 boxes that she got to check off 1 box every day so that she knew there was a D-Day that Daddy was coming back. But somehow I didn't think of that, and the result was actually potentially quite devastating. So I learned that we need to over-communicate with them about when Daddy's away. So now my children always know where Daddy is, how many sleeps Daddy's going to be away for. We count them down together and they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Daddy's coming back. And the result is that they have great conversations on the phone while he's away because they know that life hasn't changed, Daddy's coming back. So my challenge to you, sitting with your parenting fails, is that if you haven't let it go and you're sitting in a place where you're actually just feeling weighed down with this guilt, just let it go. It's just a mistake. We're all on this parental journey and we're all making it up as we go. We're all making mistakes. But take those moments, learn from them, and turn them into a win. Because if you can do that, it will go from your most epic failure to what builds you into being a better parent for your sake and for the sake of your kids. Have a really great week.